every time I entertained the idea of actually doing this series, my wife would always say to me, no, you're not going to do any history and philosophy in church. And so, Payton is like, he's a student after my own heart. And so I said to my wife, Payton wants to do a series called The Reason for God. And she's like looking at me like, okay. And she said to me when I went to preach my sermon, just a couple of weeks ago, she said, Kiss. Keep it simple, sister.
The need for Christian apologetics has never been greater. Within many churches today, we are witnessing a large scale of departure from faith. Tolerance for any belief system and any behavior has become the new golden rule. Many today hold that anything can be true for the individual, but nothing can be true for everyone. The involvement of countless Christians around the world is necessary if we are to have an opportunity to speak into those spaces. As Pasco once said, the entire ocean is affected by a single pebble. God is neither left or right. Why? As God said himself, my kingdom is not of this world. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. God says in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18, come, let us reason.
But in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. Whether you consider yourself a believer or a skeptic, I invite you to seek the same kind of honesty and to grow in understanding of the nature of your own doubts. The result will exceed anything you can imagine, but we ought to know what we believe and why we believe it. But if we can't even answer the questions that we ourselves ask, where does that leave us? For since the creation of the world,
God's invisible qualities, his eternal and divine nature have been clearly seen,
being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse.
Some of these men that are no longer alive today, these old gray heads, their ideas are still with us. And many of their ideas are with our young people. The problem is our young people don't know that they're quoting these ideas that come from some of these guys. The fact that it's possible for evil only serves to prove that God is a loving God, because you can't have a God that loves but controls everything too.
Our need for him, in and of itself, just the fact that we need him, is evidence in and of itself for his existence and a reason for his existence. The universe seems so cruel and unjust. But how had I got this idea of just and unjust? A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of what a straight line looks like. What was I comparing the universe when I called it unjust? And much of our debate these days, much of the things that's tearing our society apart, is about moral debate. It's objectively a beautiful painting. Well, if I were to draw this right here, is that as beautiful as the Mona Lisa? What concerns me is that moral relativism seems to be an attempt to erase God. Christianity, if false, it's of no importance. But if it's true, it's of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important. It's either everything or it's nothing. There's no middle ground.
And Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And then Jesus says something that people wish he didn't say after those words. No one comes to the Father except through me. To say that there is absolutely no truth is to make an absolute truth claim. Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. Claimed for himself a title that he was in fact creator. Now, you either take it as truth or you take it as a lie. If Jesus is God, friends, there's hope. Mm-hmm. If Jesus is God, there's justice. If Jesus is God, there's mercy. More than ever this world needs true definition of love, true definition of forgiveness,
true definition of justice. Justice. And we ought not be dependent on the flesh to bring that about. We as a church is not going to bring these things. We have to depend on God to bring these things about. And God will take the front. And He will lead us out of this mess. And we will be saved. And we will be delivered because Jesus is God.
Amen.